All right, Kathy's, we are back with another episode of Group Chats. Special episode. We have, some folks in and out today. So it's going to be me and my guy here, Michael Chernow. Welcome to the pod. I was on your Instagram earlier today, and before we kind of talk about your background and your business, I saw a lot of clips around parenting.
Oh, yes.
And, it's really interesting because I just got back from a family vacation. And a family vacation is an incredible time to see how others parent. Mm-hmm. Because you're out at a hotel. There's a lot of kids, especially this time of year, because everyone's like wrapping up summer break. And it's fascinating that basically everyone parents differently. You can't control how other people parent their children. And then your kids are out in the wild trying to navigate it. And like a swimming pool at a hotel is really an incredible test of parenting.
Oh, yes. Dude,
so some kids are just bombing balls everywhere, hitting everyone. Some kids are respectfully sitting in a corner. Some kids, are just talking crazy and doing whatever. It's like the Wild West. There could be an incredible parenting lesson on parenting during vacations.
By the way, I think you have to add a caveat there to what pool you're at and where, right?
Yes.
Like what hotel you're talking about. And I don't know if there'd be that much variation, but I will say
you're right. There is a huge variation.
Okay.
Because we've stayed the spectrum as a family, call it entry level Carlsbad Legoland, which is one set of clientele, and then, a Four Seasons pool.
Yeah.
Right. Like you see the different ranges of behavior. And I actually don't think one is better than the other, because there's an entitlement level at the nicest hotels of children that you won't see at an entry level hotel. It's more of is my kid going to get punched in the face or not?
Totally.
So it's such a crazy way to think about just parenting in general. I was looking at a comment you made around how do you have what matters to your kids. And I think it was your second clip on your Instagram. And one of the things you said was really around, it's not about the car you drive or the vacations you go on. It's really how you spend time with them. And I completely agree with what you're saying. I think the most fascinating thing was, as my children, how old are your children?
10 and 7.
Okay. So mine are about to be 8 and 5. And I don't think they ever knew what money was till recently. They've now discovered that things cost money and some things cost more than the others. So their question recently was, are we sitting in the front of the plane or the back of the plane?
Yeah. Totally.
So that's my older one realizing that there's a money difference in things that he never really... And I don't want to be the parent that doesn't talk about money. My wife has done an incredible job to actually educate them about money, because it's such a important lesson to learn while you're younger, as opposed to learning as an adult the value of money and how you earn it and how you save it and how you spend it. So it's a fascinating thing. I'm curious, as your children are older, how have you guys dealt with money?
It's a great question. And so I guess for me, because I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I wasn't poor by any means, but I grew up, I would say lower middle class, public school, New York City. And growing up in New York City, specifically Manhattan, every school I went to had a couple thousand kids, right?
Yeah.
And so you're exposed to a lot. And when I was a young kid, my parents weren't buying me Jordans. or like the Reebok pumps, because that was like the thing when I was like a young kid.
So that was my childhood shoe, was the pumps.
So by the way, it's so funny. This is a real story. So I wanted the pumps so bad, and I remember like it was yesterday. I had a dream of me. You know, I grew up in a little 600 square foot apartment, so I didn't know what it was like to live in a house. But for whatever reason, this dream, I must have been 7 years old, maybe 6 or 7 years old when the pumps kind of came out. And I remember in the dream, I was walking out of this house, and it was like kind of like evening time. And there was a porch that I walked onto, and then like 3 steps. And I remember very clearly looking down on my feet and seeing the pumps. And man, and I jumped off the porch with the pumps on. Yeah. And you know, for whatever reason, that kind of day cemented my mission to earn cash like that. And I went out, man. Like I was selling things as a very young kid. I mean, I just always have been drawn to selling shit. So
yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic. So like I experienced that. I have a funny Reebok pump story, but I'll save it for later. But I started selling stuff with baseball cards.
Me too.
Probably at 10, 11. I feel like that's the gateway drug to money. And I was explaining to my wife. So I grew up in the Valley in LA, and I used to hang out at a baseball card shop with 30-something-year-old, 40-something-year-old guys every weekend. I even got so close with them, which is really weird saying it now as an adult with children. I used to go out with them. At like 11 years old, I'd go to golf with them. I'd play, you know, we'd go to restaurants. I mean, not that I got sexually abused or anything like that, but like I was friends with these people, and my mom felt comfortable. She saw my interactions with them and felt comfortable with it. But like, you would never allow that today. Like I would literally hang out on Sundays and Saturdays. And then on the weekends, there were trade shows and card shows, and I would go and sit at a card show. I'd walk home with like thousands of dollars in cash in my pocket and go blow it all the next day at the card shop and try to flip more stuff. And it's pretty interesting that like you start seeing these characteristics as a kid. You don't even realize like how to like hone your craft at that point, or maybe parents didn't realize what that gateway meant. Like when you see someone like selling lemonade, flipping shoes, I think now we're more aware of it, but I don't know if your parents or my parents were aware that like, oh, this kid's a hustler at like 10.
I mean, they must have had some idea, because when I was like 6 years old, I would ask my older sister to come in front of the building with me, and I'd lay out a sheet on the corner of 87th Street, 2nd Avenue. And I put all of the toys that I just wasn't interested in anymore, nicely laid out on the sheet. And I would just sling them right for $1 each. It didn't matter what the toy was. I would sling them for $1 each. And then there was a card shop, and it's so funny. Gary Vaynerchuk and I, like, you know, he was obviously also deep into cards as a kid. Yeah. And there was a super famous card shop 2 blocks away from my house called Alex's MVP. And I lived there basically. Yeah. And they used to do these grab bags. So yeah, I was into baseball cards and basketball cards, and like the side hustle was comics. I never read the comics, but I was like just like into collecting the comics. Yeah. And they used to have these comic book grab bags for $5. So I would get enough money to buy a few comic book grab bags, and then I would come out, I'd check what was in there. I'd pull out the ones that I kind of wanted for my collection. And then I would set up shop outside of the baseball card shop, and I would just sell the comics for $1 each, at least get my money back. Yeah. And, you know, like, so yes, my parents must have known, but when I was 11 years old, I realized that I lived in a high-rise building, and there was a lot of high-rise buildings everywhere where I lived. Yeah. And every single high-rise building had a laundry room. Yeah. And so I kind of came up with the idea to walk dogs. And so I would make these flyers, and then I'd walk around to all the buildings, doormen, and I'd say, hey, can I just post this flyer down in the laundry room with my phone number on it, dog walker? So before I knew it, I was legit walking like 20 dogs, and I had this dog walking business, and I was making like $100 a day as like an 11-year-old kid. Wow. And, my parents had to put a kibosh to it because I was just, I got addicted to making the cash. And, but yeah, so I bring that up because my kids, and sometimes I have to like check myself, because I know that a lot of that, I think inherently I had that drive. I do believe that entrepreneurs are born with this sort of gravitation towards wanting to make shit, create shit, do hustle. Yeah. But I also believe that there was like a piece of me that just wanted cool things, and I knew that I wasn't going to get it from my parents. So I had to go out and earn it. Yeah. And my kids don't have that. They just don't. However, they're stoked about selling lemonade in front of the house. And one thing that they just did, which is really funny, and they kind of came up with this on their own, but we have a big property up here and they have metal detectors. And so they've been going around the property, all over the property, finding cool old shit in the ground. And my older son was like, all right, Dad, this is what we're doing. We are going to make we live in this town. The town is called Ghent. They're like, we're going to make a Ghent museum. And so that's going to attract the people driving down the street to our stand. We're going to make a Ghent museum. And then next to the museum, we're going to have a museum gift shop. And that's where we're going to sell all of our toys. And if you buy a toy, you get to reach your hand into a bag and pull out a toy for free. And legit, like this was Finn out of like,
that's a really good idea.
Dude, this was his whole game plan. And so they're doing this weekend. And I'm like, I support this 100%. Yeah. But, like I when it comes to money, I've been lucky in the fact that I've had a couple of successful moments in my career. And we have not had to stress about money. Right. And I don't think my kids understand that. I still don't think they understand that. And, we don't fly first class. And so they see, I don't think that they have really put those two things together yet, because they don't really get to walk into that section. But I do believe that teaching them about money, I really also think, like, for all parents out there, like if you're not playing Monopoly with your kids, you're playing yourself. Like Monopoly is such a great tool for kids. Even super young, like we've been playing Monopoly since they're very young, because it gives them a sense of cash, right? It gives them, they're counting the money, they're taking a bet, they're taking a risk. They know what it means to go bankrupt. They know what it means to mortgage out a property. So, it's actually a really cool tool to teach financial literacy to your kids, that game.
Yeah, I think financial literacy is such an important skill that I wish schools actually taught, and I wish more adults, even like, I'm shocked at how many. I'm 44. I would say, if you live in LA or New York, you probably tend to have a little bit more financial literacy just because you're around it physically, because there's more people who work in finance and you're hearing those conversations through osmosis. But I think when you start going out, like, I'm surprised 50, 60, 70-year-old people that have done quite well, their knowledge of how the financial systems work is actually quite scary. That like we have all this money sitting in America with people that don't understand the system. And I just feel bad that like they're not taking advantage of like what's happening. And that like right now, and we're at like an interesting turning point in the American economy, right? Like there's a world where the division of wealth gets extremely worse from here, or it starts going back to where we were and there was like this middle class. So I'm actually quite concerned. And I do want like a thriving middle class, because I think that's what makes America special. And if it goes the other way, then we're no better than any other country in the world, where there's rich people and there's poor people. And that's not a good society, because we've seen it in other parts of the world. It doesn't work, after a long period of time. People eventually get fed up. And so I agree. I think there's like a lot of opportunity on financial literacy that, that's why I'm like very optimistic of like a company like Robinhood that's actually doing a lot of work there on just like helping gamifying financial literacy. Some of it's gambling and I don't like that piece of it, but I do like that it's opening up the market to a whole new generation. I think I read yesterday the average Robinhood account is $4,000, which makes me feel good that like that means it's young people that are like investing probably for the first time.
Yeah, man. Like at my podcast studio in New York, all the texts, it was so interesting for me. We were like in between guests last month. All the guys, they're like 25, 26 years old, and they were all jamming about their stocks. And I was like, this is cool, man. And it's all Robinhood. It's all Robinhood, you know? Yeah. So I was pretty inspired by that. I thought that's amazing. That was a cool thing that I didn't really have a lot of awareness around, that they were so into that younger generation.
Yeah. So you've been an entrepreneur for a while. Your latest business, Kreatures of Habit, on the outside looks like it's doing really well. I see it popping up, and it's interesting because when I look at the CPG space, I always think that's one of the most difficult spaces to enter. Highly competitive, very difficult to stand out. So you made a decision. You said, I'm going to dive in to like a very competitive space where there's these incumbents that have been around for literally 100 years, right? Like, especially in some of the oatmeal space. What kind of made you feel comfortable to go into this space, and where did you see the white space opportunity?
Well, I guess I have to rewind it back a little bit. I spent 15 years of my life opening restaurants in New York City. So you talk
that's even harder.
Yeah. You talk about like hyper competitive, like, there's 24,000 restaurants in New York, 1,000 restaurants open and close every 6 months.
Wow.
And, and I'll tell you what I learned along that journey, right? Like, and some people will knock me for this and others will praise me for this, but I have never launched a company with a goal for a strict monetary outcome. So I've never done it for the prize at the end of the rainbow. I've done it because I am in like a hyper curious, risk-taking, relatively confident person that really does believe in my gut. And the fact of the matter is that I had not necessarily planned Kreatures of Habit to kick off in direct to consumer, direct to consumer CPG. I initially was going to launch Kreatures of Habit as a wellness restaurant in New York. And I had sold a bunch of equity late 2019 in my last business called Seymour's. And I knew that my next venture was going to be way more aligned with my passion for wellness, because wellness saved my life, and we can get into that. But it is also the foundation of my happiness. It just is, right? Like, I've committed to this lifestyle of just thinking about trying to be better through my nutrition, fitness, sleep, all those things. And so I knew I wanted to open up a wellness restaurant. It's funny that you would think in New York City, there would be like a healthy restaurant with a vibe. But the fact is that healthy restaurants in New York are vegan. That's the healthy restaurant, right? Like if you're like, yeah, I want to eat at a healthy restaurant, they're like, okay, go to like Angelica's Kitchen or Caravan of Dreams or like one of these vegan restaurants that are designed for vegans, right? Yeah. And so they look like a vegan restaurant, they smell like a vegan restaurant, you feel like you're...
I have one for you that's not.
Tell me.
Ha ha ha.
Okay.
The Mexican spot. They're the only one that kind of feels like more of a normal restaurant vibe.
So the goal with Kreatures was to open up this restaurant, and I found an amazing restaurant, my dream restaurant. Prior to this, I had opened up 13 restaurants in New York, and all did really well. This restaurant was a 5,000 square foot single structure, 8 skylights. Like it was just my dream.
Yeah.
And I was about to sign the lease on this restaurant in March of 2020. And then all of a sudden these grumblings started to happen, right? The plan and trajectory for Creatures of Habit was not going to be to scale restaurants like I had done previously with Meatball Shop and Seymour's. The trajectory of Creatures of Habit was to have this one dope restaurant, healthy food, but really delicious. Like that, when I say healthy, I mean, we're not just like overdoing butter. We're not pouring a shit ton of olive oil on everything just to add extra flavor. We're not like overdoing the salt. Like we're really being mindful and conscious about the ingredients that we use and how much of them we're using. And, you know, we would call out different, call out keto menu items, paleo menu items, plant-based, whatever. But it was just a place for people that are living this kind of life in a dope environment that they want to come to with their friends, their girls, their boyfriends, whatever. And just feel like they're in a great hot restaurant, but the food is just better for you. The goal was to create this place and then ultimately use the restaurant as an incubator for a line of consumer packaged goods. So CPG was in the pipeline. It just wasn't how I was going to start. When the pandemic hit and I had to draw a line through the restaurant, you know, it gave me a pause and I was like, okay, do I want to, like, is this an opportunity for me to pivot? Because I started working in restaurants when I was 12. So I've been working in restaurants from 12 to 39. And I put a shit ton of time in that industry. And that was what I thought my life was going to be. Like I had never saw my life outside of being a restaurateur. I just thought I was going to be opening up restaurants for the rest of my life. And when this whole thing went down, I was like, wait a second, like, is this an opportunity for me to see if I have what it takes to step into a completely new industry, learn the industry on the fly and like launch a business that I'm passionate about. And so that's when Creatures of Habit came and in its current form factor. And what happened for me was when I was 23 years old, I was working in restaurants, like I said, as a kid, and you know, in New York City, in restaurants, in nightclubs, and bars, I was a full-fledged alcoholic and drug addict. It's just a fact, right? And a lot of people in that industry, specifically in New York, Los Angeles, like, I mean, kind of all over the place, but like in the bigger metropolitan markets, like there's a lot of that stuff happening, and it's pretty much customary and accepted, and it's run rampant. So at 23 years old, I had overdosed on heroin, right? And my drug addiction got really bad. It got dark, and I finally took it to the brink, and I OD'd on heroin. And I had thought at that point, like, it's over for me. Like, this is it. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to die this way. And 2 weeks after that, whatever the universe wanted for me to see, I saw. And I finally reached out for help, and I called somebody, and this guy showed up in my life, this dude, Marcus, and he sat down with me, super cool guy, covered in tattoos, Muay Thai kickboxer. Like, this was my first day of making the decision to get sober. And this was the first guy I met. And so I was like, wait a second, if this is what it is, like, I could do this. Like, if this is the guy that I'm going to emulate, like, this dude is cool, successful, tough dude. Like, I could do this. And he introduced me to the world of wellness. He was like, look, man, like, you know, I'm going to help you get sober, but I'm also going to teach you a different way of living. And it's going to be with fitness and nutrition, and then ultimately mindfulness. But he wrote me a plan from morning to night, literally hour by hour, everything I should be doing. And the first thing he told me to eat every single day was oatmeal. He was like, it's accessible, it's satiating, it's healthy. You can add whatever you want to it and make it taste really good. He was like, I just want you to start your day with a bowl of oatmeal. And then there was a bunch of other things in there, of course, but I've been, you know, to this very day, I eat oatmeal as my first meal of the day. That's what I do. And when I was thinking about Creatures of Habit and how, like, what am I, this guy who's never been in CPG before, like, what am I going to come out with? Yeah. It just all kind of came to me, my oatmeal. I've been making this oatmeal for, at that point, it was like 17 years, and it's got 13 ingredients. I have my supplement stack on the side of it. And I was on a run upstate in New York, you know, in upstate New York. And I came back from that run and I was like, this is it. I'm going to figure out a way to get my oatmeal and my supplement stack into a pouch and and sell it to the masses and tell my story of overcoming adversity. I'm going to be able to package this all up with a cool brand. I made meatballs cool. I made fish tacos cool with using fucking bluefish. I am going to do it with oatmeal. And I spent a year working on it, on the formula and the brand. And I pitched it to Gary Vee and he loved it. And he was the first check in, and, we've been off to the races since. But I think, I'm not going to say this is by any stretch an easy business. Yeah. But it has given me an opportunity to understand that there is actually room for balance in life. And being a restaurateur that's passionate about it, that is very difficult. It's very, very difficult to have dinner with your family every night at 6:00. Like literally, the only regret I could say I have in my life is the fact that I missed the first 2 years of my first son's life because I was opening restaurants and was just not there, Yeah. No,
I mean, same.
Yeah.
You've obviously been on this wellness journey for a long time. It is obviously extremely popular now. And there was a recent study that came out on alcohol usage is down significantly in America. Do you think, given what because you've now experienced, like I grew up, I'm sure we were at the same parties in New York and LA 20 years ago.
We're the exact same age, by the way. I'm 44 as well.
So we definitely I watched John Schwartz not ever have a sip of alcohol in New York City. Like unbelievable how he does it and is around people that are constantly drinking. So I'm blown away on just the discipline of certain people. But now we see it in our work life with the younger people at our company. They don't consume alcohol like I did growing up or even now. And I'm trying to understand, is this a trend? Or is this the new direction that people are going to go? And I heard a hypothesis. I'd love to hear your take on this. Someone said devices like the Whoop basically helped reduce alcohol intake because they gamified this score that you're trying to get that you become obsessed over, like getting a better sleep score. And when you drink, you get a bad sleep score. Or I'm trying to get to how did this shift happen? And is it staying? Because I think it's going to change dramatically CPG if alcohol usage continues to decline.
So I have a real hypothesis on this. I was speaking to an old friend who's a wine distributor telling me that wine sales are down across the board 40%, which is crazy.
That's absurd.
It's crazy. I believe it is a culmination of a number of things. One, first and foremost, iPhones have slowed down human in real life connection in a massive way. Way more kids have now grown up with technology and have found far more fulfillment, even though it's not healthy, in spending time alone.
Makes sense.
Because they're not alone. So whereas before you didn't have this social connection access, now kids in their teens have spent time in their bedrooms on their phones, playing video games across multiple, with a bunch of different people in social settings, but virtually. I just think that it's sad, but it's a fact that technology has absolutely 100% degraded the human ethos of need to connect with each other, because the virtual connection is not going to it's not going to fit the bill long term, right? We need we're feeling beings. We need that, and so I do think that it's a detriment to our race as a people. So I think that is honestly the first piece of it.
Interesting. I like that.
I also believe because I've thought a lot about this, I also believe that the wellness component is the only reason why wellness has become widespread is because of iPhones and technology. So it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword because now it's just so much, like Mike, it's so crazy, right? Like I remember as a kid, the fact is if I wanted to know something about, science or whatever, history, or, I would have to go like legit find an encyclopedia that had that information in it. You know what I mean? Now my kids, they do have an Alexa and they're like, Alexa, what's the world record for the longest fart in history?
Yeah, that's my kids all day. Yeah.
and they find that out like that. So like, I'm just saying that like, it is a double-edged sword. So I think the reason for wellness being so widespread is because we have such access to technology, which is awesome. And it's made people, pause and give a second think before they like go out and get completely annihilated. And then my third kind of takeaway, honestly, from this, because I do think that it's been sort of, it's been like supercharged over the last 3 to 5 years, this alcohol not being like the alcohol specifically, sales dipping and alcohol consumption dipping. The legalization of marijuana, right? Yeah. Like the legalization of marijuana, you walk around the street in New York.
Oh my God.
Every single block stinks like weed.
Yeah.
And
it's like
so
LA
I think the accessibility of just being able to smoke weed or like whenever the hell you want, wherever the hell you want has like made people's alcohol consumption dip a little bit. But I think it's a culmination of those two things. I would love to say it's because wellness has become, like in the spotlight. And I do think that there is an element to that, but I really do think that it is technology that has kept people way more fulfilled and in a confined environment as opposed to needing to look, I've been married for 18 years. I'm with my wife 20 years. I met my wife like right after I got sober. I never had the joy of swiping through Tinder. Like, what I'm saying? Like
same.
If I wanted to get down, like I had to do it the old school way, which was like walk up to somebody. You know what I mean? Like I remember talking, like being with my boys and being like, all right, guys, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
If each one of us approach 10 girls.
It was a numbers game.
At least one of them is going to be down to have the conversation, right? So like we got to commit to this. Like all of us, we got to commit and just take a swing, that doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen.
That's interesting. And so how does that play into your business strategy? Because you know that this wellness movement is happening. You've created a better for you product. It looks like you've also created a community with your content around it. And, I see that you're using StartEngine for crowdfunding. Like, why did you go down that path? And like, what's your thought process around that?
Sure. Yeah. So, when I created Kreatures of Habit, the idea was exactly what I said. I wanted to create a product that I felt could really help people similarly to how it helped me, giving me that like win in the morning that I kind of like would scramble to try to figure out like what to eat, when to eat it, like this is just like a simple win that just like I drew a line through my first meal of the day. I just never thought about it. So it was that win, but more so the idea of Kreatures of Habit was this community and this mission and this culture of, hey, like better decisions, better habits, better life. It's just a fact. And like, that is as simple. That is the core foundation of what the story we're trying to tell. You start your day with making better decisions. The chances of you being successful in all other areas of your day are just far greater. And if you can get that nutritional win in the morning, your chances of making better nutritional wins throughout the rest of the day are just at a higher rate. So community was the goal for me, creating a community around this. And why? Because in the world of restaurants, if you don't have a community of people that are consistently talking about you, and, you know, like, it's great to have the customer that walks in or the guest that walks into your restaurant and, you know, is like in the neighborhood for the first time. And like, they're like, oh, you know, I'm going to pop by this restaurant, and it's a one and done, like, awesome, grateful for you. But really the people that make the biggest difference are the regulars, the people that come in. And those are the people that grow your business. Those are the people in the world of restaurants. You don't have, like, the only restaurants that are actually spending real money on marketing are the big chain restaurants that are doing billboards and commercials. Like, restaurants don't have a massive marketing budget. You can't. So your marketing is your success in marketing is how well you're doing on making the guest that's sitting in the seat walk out 10% happier than when they walked in. That is the marketing. So all your energy needs to go into making sure that every person that walks out is just 10% plus happier than when they walked in. So that when that person sees their friend tomorrow, they're going to be like, yo, I just ate at this dope restaurant. The food was off the hook. The service was incredible. I can't wait to go back. I'm going to tell all my friends. And so I know that about community. And so I said, I have to bring those chops to this business. I have to make this about community. And we've done that, right? We have this awesome community. I've been, you know, I'm kind of lucky that I kind of came into it with a pretty strong foundation community wise in my personal brand. And we kind of launched a business off the back of my personal brand, but the community's gone so much further than that at this point. And when I was thinking, actually, the true story is about 7 months ago, a friend of mine who I deeply respect in business in general said to me, hey, have you ever thought of a crowdfund? And I was like, no, never. I always thought of a crowdfund as like, hey, throw me a life raft. I'm dying over here. Or like, we're getting this thing started. I don't really know how to raise money, but I'm going to try to see if I can raise it out in the crowd. But this guy, Andy, was like, hey, man, you've built such a great community personally, but also with Creatures of Habit. Like, you should give that community an opportunity to be in business with you. Like, they love your product. Imagine all the thousands of people that use Meal One every day. Like, imagine they were able to just kick in a little cash and now be an owner in the business. Like, you talk about 1,000 raving fans, right? Like, some of the greatest minds in marketing will tell you, like, what you need is 1,000 raving fans. And it's just that ripple effect from there. And so turn those raving fans, the people that use it every day, into owners. And now it is just going to be a domino effect, and it's just going to make scaling that much easier. And you potentially don't need to feel the pressure of venture and private equity, like, breathing down your neck. And I was like, wow, that's actually a really interesting way to think about it. And so I did some diligence. I saw a bunch of brands that I love out there being super successful in crowdfunding. I just didn't know to look, right? Like, it's just not something that was on my radar. But when I was researching, I saw a bunch of these brands that I love, and they've been, you know, raised millions of dollars in crowdfunding. I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm going to do this. And that's what we did. And we launched the crowdfund a little over 2 weeks ago, and we've already raised $600,000. So we got, in the first week of being on StartEngine, we got most momentum, top 15 brands with the most momentum. And then a few days ago, we just got most funded in the United States of America on crowdfund. So I'm so grateful that dude put that little seed in my ear. Because now I've got, like, the amount of people that have shot me DMs or text messages or emails that are, like, in the community. They're like, bro, I just threw $1,000 in. I'm like, my dude, welcome to partnership. You know, it's like, it's fun. It's fun. So, you know, I think you know, and also, you know, there's a bunch of bonus incentives for people. Gary V and I created a Gary V champion tier, where if you invest invest $55,555 or more, because that's Gary's 5 shit. You're entered into this mastermind that Gary and I are going to host, which is super cool. And a handful of guys have been really excited about, like, hey, I've wanted to get close to Gary for a long time. Lance Armstrong, he's an investor in Creatures. He's been super supportive of it. So, there's a bunch of great people on the cap table. Howie Roseman is on the cap table. He's just been like, go get him. I mean, it's pretty dope to have the GM of the Eagles on the team, even though I'm a massive Giants fan. I needed a little bit of love to get some Eagles love. And Howie was the guy. But the crowdfund has been dope. And, we've had some really great early success on it. I think we'll close out the round, within the next 4 weeks is really kind of where I think it's gonna be, and we'll be one of the fastest closed, businesses on StartEngine, which is exciting and fun to say.
Wow.
But yeah, it's an alternative way to raise cash, especially if you have a community. Yeah. And I believe more and more founders like founder-led brands are going to go this route, because it gives you an opportunity to really dictate the terms and have like a bunch of people on the cap table that fall into one line on the cap table. So it's not like 1,000 people on the cap table. It's everybody's in one SPV or SVP, whatever it is, SPV.
Yeah.
And they're just stoked to be a part of the business,
Yeah. It is like a great new mechanism to give access to a whole new group of investors that never had access. And I think it's going to be a huge unlock for a lot of new companies to get started, because access to capital, like, a lot of people, but most people don't know people. Like, if they needed to raise 50 grand for something, it would be virtually impossible. So,
well, think about it like this. Like, so cold plunging obviously has been having a big moment, right? And kind of the OG guys are the guys at the plunge. They have that, they kind of kicked off with the first sort of commercialized, really dope, like plunge. And they're like, you talk about like obsessed customers, right? Like people that cold plunge on a daily basis, they're obsessed. First of all, you have to be crazy to want to do that every single day. But the ones that do and get the benefits from it are just locked in and obsessed. Yeah. And so the guys at the plunge were like, we have this massive community of people that are like subculture, but wealthy and they can afford to buy a $7,000 tub that they stick in their garage. Like, let's give them an opportunity to invest and be owners in our business. Like, wouldn't that be dope? And so they're having a super successful crowdfund. Like, there's a lot of brands that are out there doing it that are not just like early day startups, that there are brands that are doing it that are like that identify this opportunity to turn their community into owners. And, amazing. I think it's just a cool opportunity for consumers now to be like genuine owners of businesses that they really believe in and stand behind,
Yeah. And I think any mildly successful exit is going to create the most massive tidal wave of investing of brands, because like, I remember the first time I wrote a check and I got money back and it was a return. I was like, I'm doing this any chance I get. And that was a very long time ago. So I think the access will create a lot of opportunity and hopefully create some big winners and let everyone participate in the win. Then you start creating, that's like the birth of Silicon Valley. Like, those early technology companies where all the employees became rich, what did they do? They went back into the same ecosystem and invested all their money. And then the next generation. So yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity. Where do people find out about the crowdfund? Is it on StartEngine?
You can go to StartEngine.com and then just search Creatures of Habit with a K. The actual link is StartEngine.com/offering /creatures-of-habit, which is annoying to say. Yeah. But you could just go to StartEngine.com and just look up Creatures of Habit and you'll see us there. I think we're on the homepage today as a feature for most raised. It was hell and a half to get my company on the platform. It's basically taking your company public, with all the compliance stuff. But it was awesome to be able to get buttoned up the way I needed to get buttoned up for the SEC approval. And, and we're on there and it's been great. It's been great.
That's amazing. And then obviously we would love for our listeners to get a chance to try some Kreatures product. We always ask for a discount code because I can't help it. I'm a deal guy, so I always want a good deal. Do you guys have a discount code we can offer for people that want to try the oatmeal?
Yes, deals 20.
And you go to creaturesofhabit.com to
creaturesofhabit.com with a K, deals 20. You'll get 20% off site wide, including subscription. So it's a fat discount on your first order, either one time or subscribe. And the product is really simple and it's super delicious. It's made with 30 grams of plant-based protein, gluten and glyphosate-free oats. It's got chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, pink Himalayan salt for electrolytes, probiotic digestive enzymes, vitamin D3. Wow. It's made in like 30 seconds. You add 5 ounces of almond milk or oat milk or regular milk to it. You stir it, throw a cap on a jar, throw it in the fridge, pull it out in the morning, splash more milk just to loosen it up, and it's ready to go. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a full meal, covers all the bases. And then we also have this sleep support called Kreatures Sleep, which is a sleep support hot chocolate. You can also shake it up on, with some ice and milk, and it makes an epic chocolate milk before bed, like a nice little sweet treat that helps you relax. I also, what I've been doing recently is I've been taking a cup of Greek yogurt and I put a fat scoop of Kreatures Sleep into it, and I mix that together with a little frozen blueberries, and it's delicious. And all the ingredients in there are amazing for relaxation and deep sleep without using melatonin. So,
wow. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need that. What's so interesting is my late night snack as a child was 6 Oreo cookies in a big glass of milk and crushed it and drank it all. I did that for a solid decade.
I love it. And don't front. You still do that every now and again.
No, I actually don't. Like, I have a really funny story. I used to drink a lot of soda growing up, like 5-6 cans of wild cherry Pepsi a day. And my first day of college, I went to USC. I get there and I had my soda in my fridge. We had a communal fridge. The guy goes, one of the guys in the same suite goes, "Hey, those are bad for you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yes, soda's bad." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, sugar." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like 0 calories." He goes, "But sugar turns into fat." I'm not joking. I didn't think I had a soda for like a decade after that day.
Wow.
And I lost almost 20 pounds my freshman year of college.
Wow.
Like
you
I look at the day I graduated and I look at like during my freshman year, everyone else gains weight in college. I lost weight just because I stopped drinking soda.
And you know what's messed up? We've gone in such the opposite direction, right? Like when I launched Meal One, it had organic maple sugar, stevia, and monk fruit. So I did a blend. And, I didn't want to have all like sugar alternatives. So I added the organic maple sugar in there because I feel like if you're moving around, like there's like 8 grams of organic maple sugar is not gonna mess with you. It's not gonna it's not gonna make you fat. It's not, but I got so much heat for having any sugar in there. So I took out the organic maple sugar and it was just a blend of stevia and monk fruit. And then I got a ton of steam for stevia. People were like, "I don't want stevia." So now it's all monk fruit, which is the most expensive ingredient out of all the ingredients in the whole entire thing. But, I get it, man. Like it's like we're definitely living in this anti-sugar thing. And I was having a conversation with a guy earlier today. And really, I think the biggest issue with our problem in the country is nobody moves. Unless you live in a city, nobody moves. You just don't walk. And
especially now with work from home, you're definitely not moving anymore.
People don't walk. If you're not intentional about it and you live in a suburban or rural area, nobody's working on the fields anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Most people are sitting at a desk and they get out of bed, they walk to the bathroom, they walk from the bathroom back to their bedroom, they walk to the bedroom to their car, they get in the car, they drive to the work, they walk from their car to wherever they're working. And then, what are people getting? 2,000 steps a day, And it's just bad news, man.
Yeah, it's sad. Well, amazing, man. Well, congrats on launching the business. It's super exciting. I know it's not an easy journey, and it sounds like you have some incredible experience. So we'll definitely be following creaturesofhabit.com with a K. And use that code DEALS20, get 20% off. Yeah, congrats, and looking forward to following the journey.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This has been super fun.
Yeah. All right.
Peace.
All right, Kathy's. I hope you enjoyed that incredible episode. We are now going to do some shout outs, and we're going to send you off into the weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Sunday. The whole crew will be here, and we'll catch up on all the crazy news happening in the world. The first shout out is from Graham. Been listening to GCP for years. Helped inspire me while building my company, Pixel Theory. Just past 15 full-time employees. Shout out to you guys for inspiring all of us. 15, no joke. A lot of work to manage 15 people. Next up, oh, wow, from our guy, Charlie Thomas. Shout out to my brothers, Drama and Dee. This is Charlie. Hope all is well with my guys. He's an OG Young and Reckless supporter. He won a bunch of money from us back in the day. It was a pretty cool story. So glad to see you're still doing well, Charlie. We will hopefully hear from you soon. All right. We will send you off to the weekend. See y'all Sunday.